Okay, it should be no surprise by now that Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo is by far my most favorite Street Fighter of them all. I hold it above Third Strike, Alpha 2, and even Part 6. The gameplay, the supers, the hidden optional characters. It's a neat little package that was refined over the course of the series and makes for an awesome experience. So when I caught a glimpse of Ultra Street Fighter 2 for the Switch back in the day, I initially thought that they were just porting HD Remix over to the console. It was later confirmed that no, it was not a mere port, but rather a new iteration of Street Fighter 2 that we now know as Ultra Street Fighter 2, the Final Challengers. And this was the first time in a long time that I got hyped up over anything Street Fighter. I was so hyped that I actually bought a copy before even owning a Switch. Now the main thing that I was trying to pay attention to is how close does it play to ST, or how close it feels to the arcade. And well, I gotta say that they took some liberties that don't quite hit the mark. Basically all the command inputs that were introduced in HD Remix were switched back to the way they were in Super Turbo, which ain't a bad thing. However, when they did so, they took out some of the perks that some of the characters had. An example of this is Chun-Li's special charge, where you do her super motion and hold forward, then you could push kick at any point and she'll initiate her super. This was one of the things that made her fun to play in that game. But here in Ultra, they removed that glitch and now she has one less thing she could do in the game. Another change, which might not be as noticeable, would be allowing Akuma to juggle his opponents after dizzying them. However, I think they did this because they kinda nerfed him a little bit in this version. But the biggest change in terms of gameplay, I would say, would be how it handles toss counters. Now, in ST and Super Turbo, when you get thrown, you could quickly recover by pushing hard punch or hard kick, allowing you to do a mid-air recovery with only minor damage. In Ultra, this was replaced with a toss cancel, much like Third Strike. Personally, I don't like this change. It changes the rhythm too much, and the actual action or performance of it all is a little too fast to notice. I caught myself surprised, like seeing a toss attack and then finding myself on the ground. It throws me off all the time. It does take a little time to get used to, but yeah, it's something I prefer that they just left as is. Now the newest additions to this iteration of Street Fighter 2 are the Final Challengers, Evil Ryu and Violent Ken. These guys are like glass cannons. They could do a lot of damage, but also they take a lot of damage. So that's one way to balance it out. But in the right hands, these two fighters are extremely fun to play as. My only gripe that I have with these two characters is that they don't play too different from their original counterparts, that being Ryu and Ken. Still, it's neat to see Capcom acknowledging that these characters still exist and that they're still in their mind. Now, if they could only get them to appear in arcade mode, that would have been a little bit better. What Ultra has much of is content. There's so much to do here. Battle Buddy, where you and a friend could take on a variety of bosses. A versus mode. A training mode. A gallery where you could actually see a variety of art pieces from way back when. A color editor. The way of the Hado, where you could utilize two Joy-Cons and toss Hadokens, Shoryukens, and Hurricane Kicks on a variety of Shadowloo bosses and henchmen. I've never seen a Street Fighter 2 with these many modes, and the only thing that would have made it even better would be if there was like a movie mode where you could watch old school Street Fighter commercials. I was kind of hoping for that. But still, for what's here, I'm grateful that Capcom put this much content in that tiny little Nintendo Switch cartridge. Online, I gotta be honest and say that it was a long time since I tried it. I haven't been a subscriber to the Nintendo Online Pass for a while, but what you're looking at right now are matches that I had back then. And from what I could recall, these matches didn't play great. Everything lags. It throws me off, and it was kind of frustrating to play. It's very difficult trying to pull off combos and moves and countering moves when they're using delay-based netcoding. This is extremely disappointing considering that HD Remix used GGPO technology that made Street Fighter 2 play much better online.
Guile wins! Round 2, fight! Sonic boom! Sonic boom! Naruto! Guile wins!
Seeing the Udon sprites in 1080p is a visual treat. The sharpness in both the fighters and backgrounds make the overall image look much better than HD Remix. They've included an option to revert back to the classic graphics. The only downside of this though is that there's no option to remove the border graphics from either side of the screen. It also would have been better if they included an option to play in a 4x3 screen while using a new style of visuals. The top half of the stage is missing, taking away a little bit from the experience. Ultra has a new arranged soundtrack for this release, which has more of a modern take on these classic tunes. They're nice to listen to, however they do seem soft compared to what was available in HD Remix. Luckily, if this soundtrack isn't your cup of tea, there's also an option to listen to the CPS2 version of the music. The only setback I see in terms of sound is that the sound effects are tied to the kind of style of music you're listening to, i.e. the new sound effects with the new voice lines are stuck with the new style of music, and the old sound effects are stuck with the old style of music. I wish there was an option to use them interchangeably, but for what's here, I can't really complain. It just sounds great. Now I gotta be honest with you. I was using my Brooks wireless fighting board for recording footage, and I have to say, it works well. It works as well as any other port of this game. Though I do suspect that they might have been too liberal when it came to the timing of the command inputs. I was able to do Akuma's triple air fireball combo much more easily. That's something that normally takes several times before it comes out. But here in Ultra, I was able to pull it off on the first try. I suspect they did this so it could be easier to play two-player on the separated Joy-Con controllers. And all I can really say about playing Street Fighter in that manner is that it works. It's a little uncomfortable, but it does work. The buttons are fully functional. There's little to no delay when it's played wirelessly, and it's just fun. It's fun having that option and just playing with your friends in Street Fighter in that manner. When it comes to a presentation, I have to say that Ultra Street Fighter 2 is a little bit of a low effort situation. What I mean is that things don't kind of mesh well. And a good example of this is the intro. You got the old style ST Ryu intro looking at this high res evil Ryu, and it just doesn't mix well. The same goes for the portraits. Even though they use the Udon sprites, they do not use the Udon portraits. And granted, I do like how the ST Super portraits look. They up-res them, but that only works well when you're using the classic graphics. When you're using new style graphics, the portraits, they just don't match. And I don't know what the situation is, if like Udon has like full control over the art, or if Capcom decided not to use it. It's just a little disheartening that we're missing out on this great work, then it's not here. I'll be honest, it's a little disappointing. But for what is available, it looks alright. I just wish they could have just done a little more.
Round 2, fight! You win!
And there you have it, guys. Ultra Street Fighter 2, the final challengers for the Nintendo Switch. I gotta give this game a B. It's a good port of Street Fighter 2, and well, it's a little disappointing. The positives is that there's a lot of different modes. You know, you got the way of the Hado, training, battle buddy, online modes. Although the online mode needs a little work, but there's a lot in here, especially with the gallery. Seeing all that art takes me back. Seeing this stuff like in magazines and in strategy guides, I truly loved it. But when it came to the actual gameplay, it's a little disappointing. And my guess is because I'm so used to the mechanics of ST that when I was trying to do things on here and wasn't able to pull them off, yeah, it's a bit of a bummer. However, playing as Evil Ryu and Violent Ken is pretty fun, so I give it that. But for someone that's way into Street Fighter and Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, this is going to be a bit of a disappointment. But still, it's an excellent version of the game. I'm not gonna lie, there's a lot of worth in here. You could find copies usually for around $35-$40 complete, and around like $25-$30, you know, with the cartridge by itself. Anyway, this was Knockout 21. Please comment, rate, and subscribe, and like always, have a good one. Take care, guys.